let's talk a little bit about warm-up sets. So I find that people tend to be a little bit confused about how to do warm-up sets. I'll make a post or write a program and I'll say, do 2 to 3 warm-up sets, do a few warm-up sets, make sure you warm up. I'll word it a lot of ways because you don't always want to do only 2 or 3 warm-up sets. People tend to think that the warm-up set has to be something that's extremely specific. How much should I warm up with? Lifting this much, what should every warm-up set be? And it's really not that important if you warm up with 40 pounds versus 50 pounds. If you're working up to 150 away, it's not going to make a big difference. You just want to make sure that you're going through the movement, slowly going from unloaded to loaded with somewhat reasonable steps. You are, as you approach your working weight, touching weights a little bit closer to it. So it's hard to give an exact prescription for warm-up weights. If someone is working up to something that's going to be 135 pounds, then they probably are going to only need maybe something like 45 pounds. They may want to take something at 75 pounds, and then maybe 95 pounds and 115 pounds. So something in that neighborhood. So that's anywhere from 2 to 4 warm-ups. But if somebody is going to work up to an exercise where they're using something like 500 pounds or 600 pounds, they're going to need a lot more warm-ups because they're going to be going from totally unloaded up to 500 pounds. Probably want to do something around 50 pounds. Do something, take bigger jumps because the total max is going to be a lot higher. You might want to do something around 135 pounds. That would be a 45 on each side. Then probably 185 pounds, 225, 255, 315, 365, 405, 455, to that 495 or 500. It would be, in lifting terminology, it would be 495. Unless you're throwing the 2.5s on, and if you are, why are you doing that? There. The important thing is that you don't want to try to overprescribe these things. Don't make it any more complicated than it has to be. You really just want to try to take the weight that you are going to be working up to and hit a few lifts in between there. And as the number gets higher, there will be more warm-ups. As for the number of reps that you want to do, if you're only doing 2 to 3 warm-ups, you can do 8 to 10 reps or whatever the rep range that you're actually planning to work in. If you are working up to something that's 500 pounds, you probably won't want to be doing 8 reps on every set. You may want to do, once you get around 300 pounds, you might want to do things that are like 5 reps. You might want to do things once you get to 400 pounds that are, you may want to just do 2 or 3 reps at 455 so that you don't get so tired because you're just having to hit so many warm-ups. And after you do your first lift, your warm-ups, you can take fewer of them. You still want to warm up before you get to your working weight, but you can take fewer of them. Don't get into this mindset that the warm-up has to be exactly this number. It doesn't have to be exactly this number. The goal is just to get the pattern built before you load it heavily, get any movement kinks worked out. If you're feeling a little tight somewhere, you want to make sure that you can recognize that before you fully load the movement, and make sure that you feel comfortable doing the exercise and that you're feeling good enough that day to hit the weight that you've planned, or you're feeling even better and you maybe will plan to go a little bit heavier. It will depend on your program if that works, but typically you want to make sure that you feel okay through your warm-up sets.